now have the Iunga Pipe Band who will play a recital for us. Thank you. Thanks to our Bright Band for the musical recital. Please again show your appreciation for their great talent and how their uplifting music has added to our sermon today. Our first speaker today will be the Deputy Chairperson of Post 1, John Burrows, so I invite John to address you. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Post 1, I'm very pleased to welcome our revered guests, CONGO veterans and their families. I also welcome Brigadier General Stephen Wynne, GOC, Stephen Ryan, GOC 2 Brigade. I also welcome National Secretary, Major General Kieran Brennan, retired, our National Chairman, Derek George, and all members at today's ceremony. We're here to pay tribute and remember the 5,273 members of the Defence Forces who were our first armed peacekeepers. Over the 4-year life of the mission, Irish personnel served in 12 units, which consisted of 8 infantry battalions, 2 infantry groups, 2 armoured car squadrons, as well as at Force Headquarters. In 1960, 17 African countries were decolonised. 14 had been French, 2 were British, and the Belgian Congo. The Belgian Congo was the country that needed a massive United Nations force within 2 weeks of gaining independence. Many commentators have written about how unprepared a defence force personnel were for overseas service in 1960. No one from the highest echelons of the United Nations, and least of all the misfortunate Congolese people, were prepared for what unfolded in the Congo after independence. Later, we will have a read of the Roll of Honour, or the Memorial Garden, with the names of the 27 men who lost their lives in the Congo. It's fitting this morning that we here remember the loss and suffering of the families who lost loved ones, husbands, fathers, brothers, and sons. We salute the courage, the fortitude, the soldierly conduct, and the sacrifice of our Congo veterans, and we thank them for setting the highest standard for all who follow in their footsteps. To our Congo veterans and families here today, embrace this moment, you deserve it. Thank you very much.
I now call on the National President, Major General Kieran Brennan, to address you.
Good morning, everybody, and it's a great pleasure to be here today. General Officer Commanding 2 Brigade, Brigadier General Stephen Ryan, colleagues of mine, our special guests, our Congo veterans, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure in my role as Honorary President of the United Nations Veterans Association to welcome everybody to this special ceremony, one of a number of ceremonies that has taken place around the country over the last couple of weeks. I always get great pleasure in being in the presence of veterans who have served this country with such distinction over many, many years. And while today we are celebrating your service in an international context, I also want to mention your service and acknowledge your significant service to the stage in the context of what you delivered to the stage, many of you during the time from the 70s and 80s when you served, and the stage faced an existential threat to its very existence from the British IRA, etc. Could I say to the Congo veterans, as mentioned by John, you played a key role in creating the professional international reputation of Irish soldiers as international peacekeepers of renown. You were exemplars in the art of armed peacekeeping. You set the standard for others to follow, and I compliment you for that. Ireland's participation in the United Nations began in 1955 when it became a member of the United Nations. Our first deployment overseas was 1958, when 50 officers were deployed to the Lebanon in our first overseas mission. However, really a seminal moment occurred in 1960 when the government of the day made a decision to deploy armed peacekeepers to the Congo. Ireland up to that point had adopted what I described as a very insular approach to international affairs. But suddenly, because of our troops in the Congo and the wonderful work you were doing out there, we were suddenly in the international spotlight. And Ireland suddenly realised, yes, as a small nation, we could make a difference, and we continue to make that difference today. The contribution that you made and the succeeding generation of peacekeepers was hugely instrumental in ensuring that Ireland was able to secure a seat on the United Nations Security Council in 2000 and 2001 respectively. I would contend, directly stemming from your participation in the UNOC mission and because of Ireland's increased engagement internationally, this led in effect to our becoming members of the EEC, now the EU, which led and helped to create a more prosperous nation. In 2023, the National Executive of Ireland made a decision to honour all surviving veterans of the Congo mission to coincide with the 60th anniversary of the end of the mission. The last member of the 2nd Infantry Group serving in Congo left the Congo on the 26th of May 1964, while the mission itself ended on the 30th of June 1964. Again, I want to commend greatly the National Executive on this initiative and on various UN posts throughout the country for bringing this to fruition. So,
the primary purpose of this event and similar events is to celebrate the extraordinary service of you, the veterans of the Congo, who deployed as young men, not knowing really what to expect. You were deployed as peacekeepers, but many of you ended up in a war-fighting situation where you distinguished yourself and the Irish Defence Forces greatly. In welcoming our veterans here today, I'm very conscious of the fact that many veterans, great veterans, have gone to the return reward. I'm delighted that my own wife Maria is here today because her father served in the 33rd Battalion as a lieutenant. She was a young child when he deployed to the Congo back in 1960. He has left his journey without complete, like many of the veterans, and we think of them today and thank them in the knowledge that they did their duty and they rest peacefully right around the country. John has alluded to the veterans who lost their lives in the Congo. We lost 26 peacekeepers in the Congo, plus one member, ex-member of Garrison and those men who lost their lives in the Congo, along with the rest of the peacekeepers who lost their lives in many other places around the globe, are forever remembered and are memorial in Arbour Hill. The death of 9 of our peacekeepers in Naemba on the 8th of November 1960 remains the largest single loss of life suffered by Irish peacekeepers while deployed on peacekeeping abroad. Today, and every time I speak, I always make it my business to remember 2 young men who never came home. Trooper Patrick Mullins was a member of the 61st Battalion, the 35th Battalion, in fact, who went missing in action in the Congo on the 1st September 1961. Again, Patrick was a young boy who came back in County Limerick, who set out on his adventure to the Congo, expecting to return, but he never did. I met his sister Mary at an event in Kilburn only 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she still remembers Patrick with great fondness and misses him to this day. Post 25 in Fermoy are greatly complimented for the fact that they continue to remember Patrick and his family on a yearly basis. Today I would also like to remember a young man from Leeds Shear and Garran Ireland, a young man from the 1st Battalion who again left Ireland in 1980 to serve in Lebanon. Queely Shoga. He went missing in action in Darren Tower in April 1981, and he remains missing in action. And again, his family suffer his loss grievously to this particular day. The context of your actions and your mission in the Congo was set during the Cold War, when there were significant challenges, security challenges between the United States and the USSR and between NATO and the Warsaw Pact. And all of those deliberations come into play in respect of the challenges that you face as your peacekeepers. And again, we suffered a significant loss of life in the Congo. Our first member of the Irish Defence Forces died overseas, was Company Sergeant Felix Grant. He died in overseas service, but following an appendicitis operation, he died in hospital on the 3rd of October 1960. And of course, sadly, 25 other members of the Defence Forces died thereafter. There are 2 interesting aspects of this particular mission. This is the first time that the Irish Defence Force participated in the UN mission. But it was also the first time that the United Nations put a force into a country and effectively involved itself in the internal affairs of that particular country. At its peak, the actual mission itself reached a total of 20,000 personnel. When I think back on your deployment to the Congo and look at the information that's available to that, it's an extraordinary achievement by the Defence Force to have you deployed in such significant numbers. It's very difficult to conceptualise the fact that during 1960, there was close to 1,400 Irish soldiers deployed to the Congo. You went with what I describe as very inadequate equipment, with very little communication equipment, with very poor transportation equipment. You were equipped with bolt-action rifles, which were the rifles that were used in the Second World War. It was only later in 1960 that you got Gustav submachine guns, and then the automatic rifles, the FN rifles, and indeed a number of anti-tank weapons, and armour support, which reflected the challenge that you faced in the security environment in which you're operating in. And it's to your great credit that you carried out that mission in the manner in which you did. The advance party of the 32nd Battalion flew to the Congo on the 23rd of July 1960
sense of excitement among the members of the 32nd Battalion as they assembled in Ballydonnan. Suddenly these large aircraft from the United Nations are from the US Air Force Military Air Transport Command arrived into Ballydonnan, and you set off on your journey. And I'm sure there was great excitement. And having spoken about this to my late father-in-law, he would say that to me as well. Could I also say in relation to the location where we are today, it's a very appropriate location that we're located in ARBOUR Church. But right around the walls here are located many of the flags of the units that served overseas. And when I look at those flags, you can see the 32nd Battalion over here, 33rd, etc. I see great commitment, but I also see great sacrifice. Sacrifice not delivered just by the members of the units who served overseas, but by the families of those members who went overseas. And in that context, I want to sincerely thank all members and indeed their families for that particular support, without which none of us could have gone overseas. I was very fortunate to have commanded an infantry battalion in Chad in 2008. And during that deployment, I had significant resources available to me. I had the best modern equipment, I had the best support from other forces. And I would often reflect as I sat in my tent in Goswida on an evening and reflect on the men of the Congo, the challenges that they faced, and without the equipment that I had. And I often wonder, would my soldiers and myself be able to measure up to the standards that they set in the Congo all those years ago? And I would hope that they would. So, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I just want to say that I'm greatly honoured to be here today to honour our guests, our Congo veterans. I also want to say a sincere thank you for your exemplary service, not just in the Congo, but also for the entirety of your military careers. I also extend that thank you to your families, without your support, your service could never have happened. You remain true role models for our new soldiers of today, demonstrating the modern defence force values of self-service, loyalty, integrity, respect, moral defence and courage in abundance throughout your careers. And I want to wish you continued good health and happiness as you reflect on your outstanding achievements. Finally, I would just like to take this opportunity of thanking GRC 2 Brigade for being here today. I know you represent the Chief of Staff, and Stephen, you might pass on my best wishes to the Chief of Staff and thank you for the support that the Defence Force has given to INFA for the last number of weeks. I also want to thank my colleagues in number 1 post for their outstanding contribution, not just to today, but for example, last Wednesday we had a visit from Mrs. Michal Martin in Taunton, and again everything was arranged and put in place to the highest standards. To our pipe band, as always, thank you very, very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. We will meet tomorrow.
I now invite our National Chairperson, Mary Judge, to read a special message from Antonishta and the Minister of Defence. And the message is addressed to all of our Congo veterans.
Thank you, George. Message from the Antonishta and Minister of Defence, Michal Martin TD, to the Congo veterans of the 60th anniversary of the withdrawal from participation of Defence Force personnel in the United Nations operation in the Congo, ONUC. As Taoiseach and Minister of Defence, I am delighted and honoured to have this opportunity to send this message to you, our veterans, on this 60th anniversary of Ireland's withdrawal from participation in the United Nations operation in Congo, ONUC mission. As you are very well aware, this mission was the very first time that Ireland deployed the Defence Force armed personnel to the United Nations peacekeeping operation overseas. As such, the 27th of July 1960, when the first element of the 32nd Infantry Battalion left Ballydonnan Airport, marked a watershed moment in the proud history of the Defence Force. The first chop of troops included the Battalion Commander Lieutenant Colonel M.J. Buckley and 60 members of the unit flew from Dublin, soon followed by the remainder of the 635 strong battalion. You were the trailblazers and the proud tradition of Ireland's unbroken service on UN mandated missions since then. This can be traced back to your participation in the Congo and the example you showed, which has inspired many others down through the years. You will remember well that the mission proved to be difficult and traumatic. Service in any conflict zone never comes without a cost. That is why it is important that when honouring you, who gave so much to the cause of peacekeeping, that we also remember and honour those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. I am thinking here in particular of the 26 Defence Force personnel who gave their lives in the service of peace in the Congo. We especially remember Trooper Patrick Owens, missing in action the 15th September 1961, and his 9 comrades who were killed in Miami ambush on the 9th of November 1960. Overall, a total of 6,000 Irish personnel served in the Congo, which saw the first ever military medal of gallantry, as well as an award of 65 distinguished service medals over the 4 years that Ireland participated. It is fitting that we remember all comrades who paid the ultimate price for the service and peacekeeping. Most recently, the tragic loss of Private Sean Rooney in Lebanon. The ONC mission marked the point where our defence forces came of age and took their place on the international stage. Your presence, performance, and even your handiness in dealing with all parties earned Ireland a new respect within the United Nations that continues until today. Even before the last troops had left Congo, Ireland was requested to supply a contingent to the new UN mission in Cyprus, which is testament to the reputation garnered as a result of your efforts. Finally, I wish to take this opportunity to thank my uncle for arranging these events to honour you, the veterans of the Congo mission, and for allowing me the privilege to address you. To thank you on my own behalf and on behalf of the grateful nation for all your service and sacrifice, and to wish you all well and your families well. Thank you.
I invite Brigadier General Stephen Ryan, GOC, 2nd Brigade, to read a special message on behalf of the Chief of Staff.
Good morning. General Stephen Ryan is my name, and I'm representing the Defence Forces Chief of Staff here today, Lieutenant General Sean Clancy, who unfortunately couldn't make it today. I'll just now read out the address of General Clancy. I'm delighted to have this opportunity to address you, our Congo veterans, on the occasion of the 60th anniversary of our withdrawal from the Congo. The first international deployment of armed peacekeepers under the blue flag of the United Nations was an event of national importance in Ireland, as well as a defining moment for the Defence Forces. Images of the 32nd Infantry Battalion parading on O'Connell Street, the deployment of our troops from Balnollo, and of course the tragic events of the Niamber funeral form part of our collective national consciousness. The example of our Congo veterans inspires us, and for over 66 years, not a day has passed when an Irish soldier has not been on peacekeeping duties somewhere in the world. This participation in UN and UN-mandated peacekeeping missions remains a tangible demonstration of Ireland's commitment and pursuit of international peace. There is no doubt that the Congo was a sharp learning experience for the Defence Forces. The conduct of continuous operations in Katanga, including battalion and brigade attack, came at a high cost in human life, and the line separating peacekeeping, peace enforcement, and war fighting were often blurred. I remember and honour our 26 colleagues who gave their lives in the service of peace in the Congo. Names of the dead include Company Sergeant Felix Grant, Colonel Justin McCarthy, and Trooper Patrick Owens must never be forgotten, and they are remembered through Ireland to this day. By 1964, when the Irish involvement in the mission ceased, a total of 6,191 personnel, 8 infantry battalions, 2 infantry groups, and 2 armoured car squadrons had served in the Congo. Furthermore, the Defence Forces Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Sean McGowan, was appointed as commander of the 20,000 strong force, becoming the first of many Irish officers to hold appointments at Medal for Gallantry, as well as 65 Distinguished Service Medals. Those who served is a testament to your bravery and your sacrifice. Once again, I wish to express the gratitude to Iunva for providing me this opportunity and the privilege as the Chief of Staff to honour our Congo veterans and all our current peacekeeping members. Signed, Lieutenant General Sean Clancy, Chief of Staff, Ceann Oakley. On my own personal behalf, I would just like to thank the organisation committee and all the people here for inviting me to the event. I'd also like to thank the head chaplain, the pipers, the organist, and the various parishioners of the church for allowing the event to take place here. I grew up in Walkinstown in Dublin. My uncle served in the Congo. A number of neighbours, fathers served in the Congo. And in my house in Dublin, I have a small, or in my house at home now, I have a small carved kind of figurine of carved out of kind of ivory or something like ivory that my uncle brought back to my father. And when my father passed away, it was one of the things that was on the list that was to come to me to have in the house. And I'm really looking forward to today. I'm looking forward to having conversations with a lot of you after the event. And thank you very much.
I will read the certificate citation. Irish United Nations Veterans Association Certificate of Appreciation for service in the Republic of the Congo from 1960 to 1964. On the 60th anniversary of the termination of Operation des Nations Unies in Congo, ONUC, in the Republic of the Congo in June 1964, the United Nations Veterans Association recognizes with pride the service of the named peacekeeper for service between 1960 and 1964 with the United Nations during what was the first armed peace support mission undertaken by the Defence Forces. The courage, fortitude, soldierly conduct and sacrifices by personnel brought great credit to Ireland and the Defence Forces and contributed to the effective fulfilment of the United Nations Security Council mandates. Signed by Derek Judge, National Chairperson, and Major General Kieran Brennan, Honorary President Iunva. Issued in recognition of the dedicated service and contribution made during a complex and dangerous mission in the cause of world peace. We will now move on to the central part of the ceremony today, and Post 1 has contacted 63 Congo veterans, and we have 32 of those here today, and we also have the family representatives of 3 others. Many of our Congo veterans were not able to be here with us today due to mobility issues, and later on, Post 1 will make contact with each and every individual to personally present the certificate to them. I'll now ask Major General Brennan and Brigadier General Ryan to take post, please, for the presentation of certificates. I will call each individual forward by name. Thomas Brown.
Lawrence Courtney.
Thanks very much.
Michael Cullen. Frank Donnelly. Sylvester Doyle.
Thank you. Okay, well done.
Patrick Hughes. John Joyce. Francis Nerligan. Gregory Leach. Patrick McLaughlin. John McNamara. Noel O'Neill. Dennis Pierce. Lawrence Boyden. John Whelan. Michael Whelan. Albert Kavanagh. George Buggy. Thomas Dean. Oliver Dennis. Patrick Murphy.
Don't worry, I'll be 2/3, don't worry.
Oliver Fergus. Sorry.
See it at the moment.
William McLaughlin. We move on. Patrick Mann. Peter Fields. Thomas Murphy. Anthony Duggan. We now have the presentation of the certificate on behalf of Noel the Giver. On behalf of Thomas Ryan. Edward Connolly. James O'Clough on the front row here on the right. Just in the event of anybody, any of our CONGO veterans arriving late, if you'd like to make yourself known, please, we may have the certificate from you. Edward Connolly. Shane Delaney is here in the front row. Stephen Ryan.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I have great pleasure in making a special presentation to the General Officer Commanding Troop Brigade, General Stephen Ryan, on behalf of his uncle John Ryan. It's a very special presentation because John sadly is not able to be with us here today, but uniquely, John, Stephen's uncle, served as one of the first of the 50 officers to serve with the first peacekeeping mission mounted by the United Nations in 1958. 50 officers departed Dublin Airport back in 1958, and John remains the last remaining surviving member of that particular group. So on this occasion, I want to present this to Stephen and invite him to present it to John on behalf of my uncle and a grateful nation. Thank you very much.
Colonel Ryan served with B Company of the 33rd Battalion in Manono, 1960 in the Congo. Later on, he went on to serve in Cyprus, and his final tour of overseas service was 1985-86, when he was the military assistant to the Force Commander at Unit Headquarters, General Bill Callan. This concludes the first part of our ceremonial today. We will now move to the Memorial Garden, so please take your time and exit the church at your own time. There's no rush. Alright. The white band will lead us to the Memorial Garden, and the tune they're going to start off with is "The Way Old Friends Do."